Hi, I'm Justin from Portland CNC, and I want to take you on a tour of our shop because we've made some huge changes, so let's go. So it's been a couple weird years for everybody, obviously, with the pandemic, but luckily we've stayed busy enough, and we were actually in the process of adding new machinery. We had a shopmate, Joe, of Boundary Fog Furniture. He and I moved in this shop together in 2019, and it was a great fit. We both needed space, but we both were growing, and we just packed this place full. And so in August, he moved out, and that gave us space to move in this new CNC Mill, and we wanted to build a room around it, which we have. We're gonna go through that for sure. That really gave us the space to grow and kind of turn into the company we hope to be, and I wanna show you some of those things, and so I think we'll get started. A big update for us has been that we finally got a 3D printer, which is the Creality. We got that on Kickstarter, and it used to be in the enclosure, but it wasn't great. So after enough frustration but some success, we ended up spending the money on a Prusa. It was a great decision. You can see we're printing the YCMC microscope bit holder. The enclosure Ricky built out of some scraps, and it's been super nice.
What do you think of the major improvements from the Creality of the Prusa that you've noticed?
I mean, it's just so much more precise. So I think it is kind of entertaining that Prusa prints a lot of the parts for the printer itself, so you can tell they're pretty proud of their equipment. A couple pieces we printed. This is a headphone stand off a Thingiverse. I think that was a 0.2 mil with Prusa Mint Galaxy Black. And then this is our first Prusa print, was this Maker's Muse test tower. The goal is that it's printed in place and you're supposed to see how accurate your printer is, and it's supposed to go to the top without coming off. And from my take, it seems to be almost perfect because it goes all the way to the top. We go over the Shapeoko. We haven't made as much as we'd like, but it's really well set up. Ricky set up an entire fixture plate with a vacuum hold down that he kind of pioneered himself at his home shop. And he brought that here for us. So this little vacuum will hold down anything of size on the top surface, so you don't have to use actual clamps, but we also have a clamp surface, I believe, underneath this one. It's a really nice machine. We use it for kind of some quick, rapid prototyping when our other machines are tied up, or it just makes more sense to throw it on here because you never have to warm it up. You just flip it on and run it. It's got great dust collection. Ricky built that little swing arm up top, which helps keep the hose in place. It's really well set up. We need to start using it a little bit more than we do. I think it's easy to fall into using your big fancy machines when you could just as easily use this. Got a bunch of new tools since our old shopmate moved out. We needed a table saw, we needed a joiner, a planer, because he had all those tools. But the Sawstop, I think it's just the standard everybody has. It's the, I think, 1.75 horsepower, makes the most sense to me. It's like you need to invest a little bit into your tools anyway, and since it saves fingers, you can't really complain. I've been impressed. I'm not an expert table sawist. It does just cut really, really accurate. The fence is accurate. It doesn't taper. Chris on our team actually did a lot of work tuning all of these tools, and it cuts incredibly accurately. I think you said that you got within thousands.
Oh, I was shooting for an inch and I got 995.
Yeah, trying to make some parts to go back into a fixture, or even I think into the mill one time. So we've been really impressed with it, and Chris made this nice outfeed table because that's one of the things you definitely need. Otherwise, you're just dumping your parts off onto the floor. So it's just long enough and doesn't have any legs, which we actually really wanted, so that it doesn't take up floor space too. You can kind of nestle stuff up underneath it. Any other thoughts? We haven't set it off yet.
I was gonna say.
Haven't set it off.
Close calls.
Original cartridge, we got it used, and it's never been set off. Maybe we'll get a hot dog. And this arrived today, somehow conveniently, and we just got it together. But it's a Felder Hammer HS950, but it's an edge sander. You might ask yourself, what do you use an edge sander for? It's just a big sander. The belt spins like that, and you can change them to different grits. We have different products, like our iMac base, that we want to face up different sides of it, and it has a taper on it. So this is a nice 90, but what we really liked about this one is you reach back here, and you can kind of infinitely scroll this, and it's got a gauge on the side over here that we can set to certain angles, but it'll go all the way flat too. So, you know, if you wanted some crazy obtuse angle there, you could do that, but we want to intentionally set a certain angle and then be able to slide a part up to it, round it. But, you know, also a lot of times you're probably just going to come up and do some kind of square sanding. A lot of people use edge sanders to square up like cabinetry because it's such a long flat surface. And it's just really well made. It's German or Austrian. In comparison to some of the others, it's pretty easy to change the belt on and off, and just also looks pretty good. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a well-made tool that isn't some gross yellow color.
A good color palette is easy to look at and easy to work with.
Mm-hmm. So this has been a long time coming. We ordered this in July of 2021, and it just arrived in January 2022. So it's about 5 months, and I've heard that Felders do take a while to get here. There's also, I don't know, pandemic excuses. It seems to be their thing, though. We're pretty excited about it. We've been talking about it for a long time. We haven't even got it set up yet, other than it's off of a pallet and standing. So, yeah, pretty exciting. New tool day on Shop Tour day. So we finally got a new forklift, or new to us. It's actually 97. We, until this year, always unloaded every truck by hand, and that was pretty exhausting. And so this has been a real nice perk. It's got a few quirks to it. It's obviously needs some paint, but it's been running great. And we somehow make from the front to the back in about a 3-person operation to make sure we don't run into anything, but it saves us from unloading trucks.
What do you think the time savings is?
Oh, today we unloaded the sander and a pile of wood, and it takes about 2 minutes versus usually it's having to move it twice. Everything has to be moved twice. So that's pretty rough. Usually we have to unload it onto a cart, and then the carts get full. Since we got the new pallet rack, we can actually put material straight onto it and then just unload it when we need it. That's been a pretty big time savings and just convenience, honestly. I ultimately, I think we thought there was a moment in July when Ricky and I were unloading about 60 sheets of plywood in the sun, and I thought, there's going to be a mutiny if we don't change this, because I was sweating, and I could tell he was not happy with it either. So it's a good investment, I think, just for morale's sake. I don't think anybody's been mad about it. All right, so this is kind of the hearth of our shop. We just built this new workbench. Mostly Ricky. I think definitely Chris had definitely helped design. I think his design is the base. Until about, I think this month, we used a door on basically 4x4s on wheels that I found at our last shop outside. And it was giant. It was not flat. And I think I hated it more than anybody. But I mean, at one point we had our tightening vise on that thing, and it was on wheels, so you'd push it and it would slide all over. So this has been a big improvement, and it's really pretty simple. It's just 2x4s. And of course, we flattened it and drilled the holes on the router because that's the tool we're good with. Ricky did all the base joinery, just some simple lap joints. Trying to keep it clean underneath because we kind of had a tendency to just throw crap there below. So this has been a little bit better. Haven't totally finished up the end vise here, but it just needs some faces. And then we can, you know, throw stops on these bench dogs and work on a big piece. It's been a really nice improvement for us. This is kind of where we always end up working. So if we're making something, we've kind of called this the cam station, which is just turned into where Ricky, that mostly operates the router, works. You come around to this side. So we can print setup sheets. All of the router tooling is in these drawers. I'm going to turn on another light here, actually. So this is used tooling. It's been in use. Collets. And then we have new tools that haven't been used, so we can kind of identify quickly what we need to reorder. This is kind of where things get set up. You set up tools here. You kind of process what's going to happen on the router or just work at the computer. But this is the hub of where, especially if you're working out here, this is where you work. All of our, you know, drills and hand tools are intended to be as easy to grab as possible. So if it's important, it should be right here that we use all the time. You shouldn't have to dig through something. The one dirty secret is this drawer is a disaster. it has had no organization because we do use all these tools, and so far we haven't pulled it down to what is most important. But I mean, it's pretty organized other than that. We are starting to build some more cabinets because we took apart all of the stuff underneath the workbench and it needed a place to go. So we still have some stuff to organize, but Ricky's been building these cubbies. They'll have door fronts on them, painted nicely. We just got to get the hinges on them, but he's got a couple more in process. So there should be quite a bit more stored up here, kind of organized by either tools. So there's all the glues, just mostly glues and tapes and finished stuff, and then some sanding stuff. That's kind of the hearth of the workshop for us, where we hang out and work the most.
Do you have any future plans for this area?
For this area? I feel like you've got a secret I don't remember.
Oh.
Future plans.
I think there's a bit rack.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, got a nice kind of organizational system to some degree with these tool racks. These will probably get revised at some point. They're not perfect, but they've been pretty good for us. So you can organize your tools, bring them over to the router, and that's a nice little system. This is probably going to get resized, and we'll probably offer that as a download. It was a great start, but it just needs to be a little more organized so you can find some stuff a little bit quicker. There's a lot of redundancy in it that we don't actually need. Last little bit, I guess, of this section, we've called this the CNC cart, but really it's just a cart you can customize for exactly what you need it to be. We do have plans for that on our website too, but for us, it's every tool that you should need when you're working at the router. And sometimes when I'm, doing a repeat job that's got something where I'm doing tape and glue, I sit here and it's perfectly, right where I need it. The tools are always in the same spot with the kind of Kaizen foam setup. We need to kind of update it, but it's been, in my opinion, really great to always know there's always our 1, 2, 3 blocks. There's a tape measure, a knife, your calipers these get borrowed, but they should always end up back here. And that usually works pretty well. And then we have we standardize all of our screws that we use primarily, if it's not like a construction project to build a room or something, around square number 2s. So all of these are always one drill bit, basically, except for I think one, where you can grab one drill, one screw, one bit driver that is, and anything you want. So we use this a lot for fixturing on the router, but also just common assembly of, little boxes or things like that. One little trick, if you are a CNC routing shop, you want to cut tabs off really quick, use a multi-tool. It's a terrible noise. It's actually pretty gross, but it works really well, and it's super handy, lasts forever. There's a holster, FastCap makes this little guy, and we just mounted it to the system. These are just a grid of holes on the side that have T-nuts in the back, so you can mount basically anything. Kind of need to expand what we have on the sides, but
Pretty fancy hammer hole.
Yeah, just some 3D machine plywood. One day I had a little project day for myself. This is our main machine. This is what's gotten us to where we are today. It's a ShopSabre Pro 408, and I bought it in 2017, actually. Put it in my garage in my house. It barely fit. Incidentally, kind of thought, I should start a side business to hopefully make some money, because I was intending to make products with this that I was designing. Started Portland CNC just to make some side money, and that's what's turned into what we've done pretty much since then.
This was your big foray into CNC, right?
Yeah.
You started a little bit.
I did architecture school. We had this ancient 30-year-old machine that I was joking, basically would only cut ovals instead of circles, and nobody knew how to fix it.
Perfect.
And it had a DOS controller. It was absurdly bad, but I definitely got the bug there of, I can do this, because I'm not the best hand crafts person, but I really like computers. I like to design things. I went to design school. So to me, it was the solution to make better products. And what it turned into was learning how to make products really well, or things for other people typically. So we've done that since 2017, and kind of changing a little bit lately. And we'll definitely talk about that more. But yeah, it's been an amazing machine. I have no complaints. I get a lot of questions about it, and made a lot of videos related to using a CNC router in Fusion 360. We upgraded the ATC rack on it. So we used to only have 5 tools. and now it has 12, which is actually more than you can get from the manufacturer. We made these on that mill over there. They're just aluminum, and so they're little blocks of 3. And one of the other improvements is we made it so you could have longer tools. So we cut through the back of the phenolic bed. One of the products we were trying to make, we wanted a longer tool, but we actually couldn't get it deep enough. So this is a pretty long tool, but it still doesn't reach the bottom of where we are. So we're potentially going to sell these because we've had a few requests, and it seems like a pretty good system. We redesigned these kind of tool forks and made those between the router and the mill. And then all of the aluminum parts we made on the mill itself, the YCM over there. One improvement we've made other than the ATC rack improvements there is the little succo meter. So this table actually has vacuum that pulls through. Usually there's an MDF swell board, so it'll pull through the table and hold parts to the table. So it's fixturing. It's a way to keep your stock or whatever you're machining in place. We use these little covers to cover the holes so stuff doesn't get in them unintentionally, because sometimes like sockets fall in.
No, they don't.
No. How would that happen? When we were upgrading the ATC, it's somewhere down there. So, but anyway, the other upgrade is the succometer. So you never really knew how much suction you had, and you kind of get gaslit into not understanding. As the more is machined away, you don't necessarily know how much suction there is because you hear the noise of it running, but then all of a sudden a part will move and you're like, I just lost this expensive material and all that time. So Chris, who worked here, designed this Arduino vacuum pressure sensor. So when we turn on our hold vacuum, it's just going to ramp all the way up, but obviously higher on the chart means better, more suction. I think we have a maximum of 10 inches of pull. And as more goes away over time, I can't even pull it out, but it would drop down. It's also, I can tell right now it's really high, but it's different than actually seeing it. So the color indicates you can be across the room and say, oh man, we've dropped to 5. I better go stop or check what's going on. It's been a really good improvement so that you don't have to be as attuned to what's going on. And like I was saying, you tend to get gaslit too into not really knowing that all of a sudden you don't have enough suction and you lose a part. So it's been a nice improvement. New in the last year too is this, I think it came from Rockler, but we just put it on a 4-inch hose, and then we have a blast gate. So whenever our dust collection is on, get a remote if you don't have one already. Or a Clearview overhead system, we can clean up the table pretty quickly with this, and we're kind of going to intend to get a different end so you can clean up more quickly. Somebody that can be on the other side of the table with our vacuum cart cleaning up as well, but it's just nice to always have this ready, because usually that's been the dust collector's on and running to suck up dust from the spindle itself, and as we all know, it doesn't usually get all of it, so kind of just modeled up this quick way to hold it off of the duct itself, shut it off quick, and you can pretty much reach most of the table with it and do some quick cleanup much faster than just a shop vac. The back of our shop here is where we store all of our material, whether it's just what we have in stock for kind of our leftovers or what we have to work with. Back on our scrap or material rack, which we built back there, kind of different ways to organize material. Our goal is typically, if it doesn't fit in the material rack, we should get rid of it, because in past shops, we just kind of piled stuff up too much. We did get a major addition this year with the forklift. Actual pallet rack or like a material rack has been a huge improvement, that we can store multiple levels of plywood, gets it off of our valuable floor space since we don't have a ton, and does things where like this is a client's project where we can throw on a pallet and push it out of the way, and anything that would have been there otherwise wouldn't have been usable space. So that's been a huge improvement for us. We've started to use it to hang fixtures on and stuff, so it's definitely turned into more than just a material rack, which is pretty great. In terms of how we usually use this space back here, we would forklift in material now, and it's pretty tight. We do a 2 or 3 person operation to make sure we don't back into the router and not hit anything on the ceiling. So it's tight, but it's definitely worth it for how much we've been able to store. We would take material down. We just had actually all of this material for this job was stacked right here on the floor. So we could pallet jack that out or load it onto these fantastic tilt carts. If you've never seen these before, they can hold about 13 sheets of 3/4 plywood at a time. You can have them in either orientation of kind of a storage level, and then you can flip it into a flat. Basically, how we use it often is a table, but if, say, this was full of material, it turns loading the router, once you've loaded it here, into a one-person operation. It has one more little trick, though, that you can pump it up and down. So as your material height changes when you unload a certain amount, you can pump it up a little bit more. Or when we don't have anything on it, like Ricky today was using it as basically an assembly and finishing table, just throwing a piece of plywood on, some cardboard, and it's a quick work table. So they're pretty expensive. You can find them used. Shop Carts USA makes them in the Midwest. Been kind of collecting them because we got one and we got addicted, and it's the only way we move material anymore, because it almost always turns into a one-person operation rather than two people needing to move material. It also just saves your back. You don't have to bend over to pick up any material off of like if this cart was flat and never could change, which we have one of those, you have to do this kind of crazy move, and you get pretty tired of that when a sheet weighs 80 pounds each. But that was a really great tool that we really love, so I want to show you. All right, so the back right of our pallet rack, we actually used the side of it to mount this new cabinet that Ricky designed that is our hardware cabinet. So on the inside, we like to keep things as clean as possible. So we got dust flying around. We built an enclosed cabinet to just keep it clean. But before, we used to keep them out in the open. So a lot of these had lids. They're Acro Mills bins in different sizes. And then you get these mounting plates on the back that then you can kind of sort into any organization you want. I've shown this in the past, but part of the perk of the kind of way we organize and store this stuff is that every one of these bins has a little QR code on it, and usually some kind of other information, like if you need what kind of head to use to drive these screws. So if you use your phone, anybody that has an account of ours, so this is just an iPhone, will pop up more information on that. And the most important thing about this is that you can then change the status if you need to reorder it, so that anybody can mark when we need to order something. You can write a note, say, these are working terribly, don't reorder them. That's also valuable. I always believe that, anybody that's here should be able to input into that kind of system rather than just me sitting at my desk not knowing that information, or trying to remember it in some way. So without having to walk out here, if I'm back here, if anybody's back here, you can easily, it's mostly about making sure we don't run out of stuff, but it's just, there's a lot of information about each product, and I could reorder it from my phone actually if I wanted to. So that's pretty cool. We are actually offering this for sale, the plans to build these cabinets, and then we'll have links where you can buy all these bins and the system itself. So it's pretty easy to build, and you probably would want to mount it to a wall. It would probably tip over, but I think it's pretty easy to modify if you wanted it deeper. So here in the back of the shop, you saw it behind the router. This is what we've been calling the sub room. We built this room when we moved into this space because we had a loud air compressor, an F4 vacuum, which is what holds parts down to the router. It's about 110 decibels, which is louder than anything you have at your house for sure. It's very loud. And also to keep our dust collector, which is loud and contains fine dust. So it basically is this loud, dirty room. We'll go in there now and I'll show you what's in here. It turns out there's an Andy in here. Anyway, so this is the sub room. We've got a dust air filtration system that filters the air that goes out of the room, so you got to have some air movement. We have Clearview, I think it's a CV Max dust collector, which we built in here, and then it's connected up to an 8-inch NordFab duct that goes up through the top of this room and then collects the rest of the shop. I've actually got a video we were in the middle of editing that of this installation too. So if you're interested in dust collection, we've nerded out on that pretty hard, and definitely going to have some more information if you're in the process of looking at your dust collection system. I do recommend these systems, and I'll have a lot more information soon, hopefully. The air compressor, I don't know if you can show this, but this should be getting upgraded soon. We've since realized that we are basically pushing it to its max. I bought this in 2017 to serve the router, which needs it for cooling and tool changes. And it was a $500 Lowe's compressor. It's worked great, but as soon as we got the mill, we've basically been running it like an old jalopy. It just doesn't stop running. We also have no air refrigeration or chilling, so we have a little bit too much water in our lines than we would like. But most likely we're upgrading this soon, which is a nerdily exciting thing too. Just a really nice, clean air that hopefully is a little more variable. If you look down below you, right there, this is the F4 vacuum. So this is a single phase 4-motor blower vacuum. So there's 4 different motors here, and it sucks air through this pipe from the CNC router that we were talking about earlier. It's super loud and makes a lot of hot air, so it's really good to have back here in this dirty room. As you can tell, the walls are filthy, but part of that intention is that we're not breathing that fine dust. It's not going back into our products and our space as much as we could possibly make it. It ideally all stays back here, and it actually works really well. We have rock wool in these walls, and then there's drywall and plywood on the other side. So we had an engineer help design the sound aspects of it so that we would deaden as much sound as we could. And it actually has worked amazing, so we're really thankful about that. I think that's all. Another little Arduino project we did, because we were constantly having issues missing people at the front of our shop, was we didn't really have a doorbell, so we make a lot of loud noise back here. And for some reason, all the wireless ones we tried didn't work, so Chris and I worked on this system where we wired a doorbell from the front, and if Ricky pushes the button, we get it's like a police siren I found on Amazon, and it just flashes for like a minute, which runs off an Arduino. So if you can't hear it, which you typically can't, it will get your attention basically anywhere in the shop. So it took us almost a year to do, maybe a little longer than a year, intermittently. And every time it gets cold, we don't have the door open, we end up wanting it to have the doorbell fixed. So we finally got it fixed this year. Chris did a lot of good work on that. So it's been really helpful. And we only get a few false positives every week, which used to be constant. So it's been a really nice improvement, and I definitely recommend spending a year of your time trying to make a custom doorbell if you can't afford to buy a professional commercial doorbell, which they are very expensive. Big new addition for us this year is this YCM Mill. And you might ask, why did you build a room around it? Because I'm obsessive is the first answer. But the real answer is we primarily make a lot of wood dust, and wood dust and coolant for a metal mill, don't really mix. Either way, we don't want the oil going into the wood shop as it's aspirated, and we didn't want dust going into this nice, basically new mill. We've actually found out one nice perk is that it seems to hold the mill at a nice thermal temperature, so we're getting really nice tolerances out of it too. So that's a weird perk we didn't really foresee, or I didn't foresee. Maybe a true machinist would find that out earlier. But so we've got these nice, I call them the meat room flap doors, and we've called this the Dexter room because it's obviously where the killing happens. But on the outside here, it's 2x4s. On the inside, we painted them white, and this is polycarbonate. It's called Twin Wall, and you use it for greenhouses most often, but it's pretty flimsy. But the whole point was just to keep dust in there, dust from going in or coolant from coming out. And it's also kind of a nice obscuring fashion to it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, not even the privacy, but as you walk around it, the mill has some lights on it, and also its status light will blink pretty bright and light up the room, which is cool. And so it's just been a nice little separation, and obviously takes up space, but it's a little bit noisier in here. That's the mill's noise itself. So this is a YCM NXV 560A, as you can tell here. I couldn't turn it down really. It was a really nice machine. It's got 20 tool changer. We put a Renishaw probe, spindle probe, and table probe on it, and added a couple vices, Kurt 6-inch vices, and it's It's made some really good parts so far. We're kind of still trying to find the right fit for what we're using it for.
Put some lights in it?
Yeah, there are lights.
Woo!
Want to see inside?
Oh yeah. Oh, nice.
Andy probably can speak to this better than I can. He's used it a lot more. Primarily cut aluminum so far. We've done one major project for our own shop. We upgraded the ATC on which is the auto tool changer on the ShopSabre Router. We got a whole video on that too that we did, but we always wanted to upgrade that system. We had a 5 tool changer before and we upgraded it to 12. So that was a pretty big upgrade and we did all of that machining on this machine. Part of our story the last 6 months or so has been what we've been jokingly calling retooling the factory for a few reasons, but we gained a lot of space when our shopmate moved out. We gained a mill. We needed to buy tools. This has been obviously a giant part of the shop, and we're still trying to wrap our heads around the best ways to use it. It's been pretty fun. It's very fast. It's got 1G acceleration and it's rapid, so I'm used to it now, but it terrified me every time it would hit full rapid acceleration. It's very quick. What do you think about it? You have any thoughts about it?
I think it's a fast machine. I think it's held tolerance incredibly tight for the first couple runs. And I'm really excited to see what this thing can do.
I think one of the things I'd like to improve, we talked about quite a bit, is to probably get into some type of more modular fixturing. Devices are great, they're standard. It just feels limiting in terms of like going from, you know, making a couple prototype parts to some kind of production, or quick switching between jobs. Vices don't always seem like they're the best option, and we'd like to be able to put them on and off more efficiently with maybe something like a fixture plate. Looking at you, Saunders, we might be up your email inbox soon. Yeah, other than that, it does have some issues in the back with, if we want to squeeze, can we squeeze? Can you get back there? We made it about 24 inches over on the side so we can get around the side for safety, but also to be able to get to the back and check on the chips. The bins are not great. Let's see if I can get out of the way enough. And one thing we still are working on, we need to put a door in here as well, but this is the coolant tank. I described this to my wife when I was saying, oh, this is a great machine, but I can't believe how much the front feels like a new, shiny machine. The back feels like the back of a bad pickup truck that's been torn apart. So it's basically a mullet, in my opinion. You got the front that's real nice, the back that's just, oh, what the hell's going on here?
Party.
I'm not that familiar with mills like this, but it just feels like a disaster. We haven't maybe kept it as clean as we could, but we're cooking different forms of soup right here. You got your potato bacon and some tomato, and then a little bit of cream on top of that. The bins suck though. We're still trying to work them out. You can't really pull them out, obviously, in our tiny space here, but also they just kind of pile up. So we actually, one of our latest updates was we bought a Martha Stewart rake, and that helps us move some chips around a little bit better, but it definitely likes to pile up right here. It would be nice to add a conveyor, but it may not work in this space.
If anyone knows about any compact conveyors.
Ooh, yeah. We jokingly started talking about building our own. It was like a serpentine, so it could work in here, but that sounded like a non-profit making adventure, and that's our mission this year, is to make profit. So Andy did most of this upgrade, but this is just a Harbor Freight bench. Kind of laid out all the most commonly used tools and did some Kaizen foam. Actually routed it on the CNC router over there, and it turned out really good, making sure that it cut conventional. If you cut climb, it's real bad, real fuzzy.
More of a swoosh.
It's like you took a hammer and tried to claw it out. But it looks really good if you conventionally cut, and we use like a pretty much a straight 2-flute cutter. Same thing as the top of our other CNC cart. In our opinion, we're not the only ones to do this, obviously, but you should know where a tool is. If you should be able to open the drawer while looking into the mill, grab it, and not have to look away. That's kind of the goal with this kind of stuff. You also really know when something's missing. You could color the bottoms too if you really wanted to get eccentric there, but it's a good start. Some of the other, we haven't totally gone through all this, but Schaller bins, we like to label our tools as much as we can so that you can look up what exactly you got going on here. And we're starting to standardize some tools, but that's just kind of a work in process still. think this one made a collet tray. Ricky kind of engineered these foam with acrylic top, so it's nice and solid, but also nice and soft on the collets themselves. So that's ER32, which we have a decent amount. We have ER16. Most of our tool holders are that way. I think we have one shrink fit, which we use a torch because we're classy. We don't have that fancy machine to shrink things yet, but maybe someday. I hope you enjoyed our shop tour. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Thanks to Andy for the great cinematography, and subscribe to catch our next video. Thanks! If you want to support the channel but don't want a Patreon-like subscription, Buy Me a Coffee is the perfect option. The idea of Buy Me a Coffee is to offer someone a cash equivalent of buying them a drink as a thank you. It's a one-time thing to show your support for the channel and keeps the content and coffee flowing. Look for the link below for Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to get our CAD and CAM models that we show in the videos, subscribe to our Patreon at cnc.money. Thanks.
Let's do video things. 4K things. I also like this. Like
they call me Andy 4K.
I can do this. Like I could do a pan down. Like hello.
Hello.